Welcome back to the Konich-Yeehaw podcast on the Last Choice Network. I'm Jared.
And I'm Natalie.
And today we're going to be talking about what's in season for fall 2022. What are we watching?
Well, we are watching quite a few things. So many things, in fact, that we had to spread it out over 2 days. I guess the first thing that I wanted to talk about, figured we would do things that are continuing first.
Right, makes sense.
So, first on the list, Spy X Family.
Yes.
We're in, I don't know if you want to call it season 2. It's more like a part 2 from...
it's season 2.
I don't know. It's very much just like a direct continuation, though. It's not like there are different arcs or anything. The same things are happening.
We got into the dog arc.
Yes, we're in the dog arc
The
now.
dog is finally there.
Yes. But, for the most part, it's still really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's still very entertaining.
It's the child having family bringing together propaganda that Japan needs right now.
So maybe I think we all need.
Yes, we all need, actually.
Honestly, don't know if it's gonna work, but it's.
It's
very cute.
Whenever you see Anya, you're like, man, I wish I could have one of those.
Maybe.
And then and then you think about it a little bit, and you're like, it doesn't really go like that, actually, does it, huh?
Yeah, but it's still very funny. Mm-hmm. It seems like we're getting a little bit more of your.
We are. You can tell that from the OP as well. The opening.
Yeah, opening, and it seems that yours pretty much already had like her own half episode with the last one.
Right.
And it just seems to be focusing a little bit more on your in Anya whereas the first part or the first season was like Anya and Lloyd.
Right.
So I think it'll be fun to see more of a continuation of that, because honestly, I haven't quite figured out yours personality. Like, not 100%. Like, I get that she's like kind of socially awkward because she's like an assassin and everything.
Right.
But she also still like really loves Anya, right? Like, is very like motherly towards Anya. I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit more that I'm excited to see be explored.
Definitely.
I guess.
She was very much in the back seat of the first season.
Of the first season, yeah.
And it kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. They want Lloyd, all in all, is the main character.
Is the driving force in why everything is happening. So.
Yeah, exactly. Because it went from like, even within the first season, here's Lloyd, the main character, in the first half of the first season.
Right.
And then in the second half, it kind of went more towards Anya when she's at school.
Right.
And then now we're going to get more of Yor. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll get Bond after that, the dog.
Yeah, the dog. I'm very happy with the inclusion of the dog. I love that he also has superpowers.
Yes.
And I love that it's something that him and Anya like kind of bond over. I also really like, though, that his superpower is being able to see the future. But I love that like he's a dog, so he doesn't really have a drive to change that future.
Exactly.
Which I think is great. Honestly, because like that's like what a dog would do. He'd be like, "Oh, like this is going to happen."
Right. He has no like recognition of what the future means.
Yeah. Yeah, and then with the combination of like Anya being able to, like, they kind of like share it, right? So like Anya feels like she can be open about her powers with Bond, because Bond also, Bond is a dog, so like first of all there's that, but then like they kind of like use their powers together, and Anya is the one who's like interpreting the future. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I think is a pretty fun dynamic that is like introduced. So
right.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty funny how whenever they did the thing in the first episode, like they were done, like everyone saved the day.
Yeah.
And Anya was like, no star for me. And they're like, we have to keep this secret.
Anya is still trying to be Starlight Anya.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes, Starlight Anya.
Yes. So I'm still definitely excited to see how it progresses, because Anya is also very much into this whole like, my dad's a spy and he needs me for a mission.
Right.
Kind of makes me a spy too, right?
Right.
So like,
especially with the inclusion of the future sight now.
Yeah, now she kind of has future sight. So like indirectly has future sight. So like she's definitely treating like her going to school like a mission, even though she hates it. But like, you know, she has the whole like, oh, mission, become friends,
Right.
like in like the fantasy of like what's happening in her mind. So very excited to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, good stuff. This is something that like I didn't really super think about in the first. I hope we get more like merch.
Yeah.
Like there aren't really like, or I didn't really see like figures. I mean, there's a
Right.
couple Anya figures.
Right. I think they're rolling out now more. And what actually tells me that is the fact that there was the Spy X Family section in the Kinokuniya,
Right.
which is a bookstore, a manga bookstore that we go to sometimes. That also sells like just like anime things,
Yeah.
figures, whatever. But I was actually kind of surprised to see that at Kinokuniya.
Really?
And I was, because like I don't know, I feel like what's usually there isn't necessarily that genre of anime. It's like either like I mean, like I know that it's shonen. I know
Yeah.
that Spy X Family is shonen, but like
I
like
get what you
action
mean.
shonen,
Yeah.
like not like this is like almost slice of life shonen because like
Yeah.
there's just trying to be a normal family, but then there's also all this like kind of like tension action underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of it surprised me, but it does make me think that more stuff is like rolling out in production,
Right.
and we are gonna see it when we go to our next convention, which is very exciting.
Yes, our next convention is in December.
It's in December.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, there's no like your figures, like large figures. There's a lot of like miniature, like chibi style figures for them, but nothing like to scale.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think we'll get more.
Yeah.
I think we'll get more. All right. And so then there's that. Now, the next on the list for things that are continuing is Pop Team Epic.
Pop Team Epic. Oh my gosh.
So I never watched the first season.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that.
I never watched the first season, and honestly, I mean, like, I can. Like,
Yeah.
they're short, right? But I never did. I think I watched maybe one episode, and I don't really remember it. But, I mean, what's there to say about Pop Team Epic?
I mean, we can go back and watch it. I mean, it's not like there's a continuity or anything like that. Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, it's funny.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's
gags and satire. Yeah.
I actually read Pop Team Epic like before, like maybe like a couple years before it like had an anime adaptation, and I was so surprised whenever it was announced because I'm like, why and like how? Because there are things in it that is just like so like ridiculously stupid, but like just so great.
Right.
And it is. So a thing about like the 4 style is that like there's a timing to it.
Right.
And so this really excels it because it's able to like force a pacing, which makes some of the jokes funnier. I also think, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not like keeping up with it. But there are some bits that I think are original, like the mecha bit. I think that was original.
It wouldn't surprise me if I'm especially the longer ones.
The longer ones, yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I mean, it's funny, still funny.
Yes, it's still funny. I love that they play with the art style, because it does like it has a set art. It has like a set official art style, I guess is what you could call it. Yeah. But still within the show, they're willing to like change it, you know,
right.
and it changes with the jokes. So like, exactly. Which I think is like really smart and something that you could really only do with a show that's kind of set up like this 4 like fast-paced kind of thing where like it's just jokes after jokes after jokes, you know. By the way, what a
sorry,
what a 4 is, which I believe it's called a yokoma, right?
Yeah,
but then like so. It's the slang is 4 because if you think of like a comic strip, think of like a magazine comic strip though, like very short. There are 4 panels, and in those 4 panels you tell a joke, and
Right.
all you get is those 4 panels. So Pop Team Epic was originally written in that style, so very like small condensed scenes where it's just a joke, it's just a punchline,
Right.
like something building up to a singular punchline, and that's it. There's no story, there's nothing like that, nothing too lore deep.
Yeah, not at all. I don't think there's any lore in Pop Team Epic.
Yeah,
Like,
so
they will come back to a joke, they'll revisit a joke, but nothing more than that.
Yeah. So think of like
Garfield.
exactly. It's like Garfield, where I mean, like you can get a Garfield book and that's a long story, but for the most part in the newspapers, you read it and you're like, haha, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So they do have they've added like longer ones. Definitely noticed that like these really short jokes are are around these longer ones.
And I think in the first season, I know since I had like read most of the jokes that were from the first season. I think the first season was mostly the short jokes,
right,
as well.
Oh, I was going somewhere with the art thing.
Sorry.
No, I wasn't. I forgot. So I think it's like really cool how the art style can change depending on what the joke is. Like how they have this recurring joke now with the B-side.
Yeah.
So like having it stylized like some like Yuri romance between the two, and they make it look like a real anime. If you know what it looks like, you know it doesn't look like a real anime.
Yeah.
It looks like a comic strip. Like it doesn't look like what you think of when you think of anime. But then they have this ongoing joke about B-side, which looks like a real anime, and like they're in love, like in some romantic entanglement.
Yeah.
But then they'll make joke, but because like it looks so real and looks better than what Pop Team Epic usually looks like, they usually throw in a joke about how it's going over budget.
Yes.
Which I think is really funny.
Yes. One thing that I saw with like the fans is that, so I think it was in let's see, what episode are we on right now?
4.
We're on episode 4. So I think it was in episode 2. They had a really long mecha joke. And like, it looked like on par with like regular or above average mecha anime.
Right.
And so people were like, fans were like making the joke like, oh, I hope the next episode they like have some real shitty animation to like compensate for the budget.
Yeah.
But like that's so what makes it so good.
That I mean, is that you can like see all the jokes reflected even in the style itself, not just in the spoken humor.
Yeah. But the fact that they can, the studio that's made, I don't know what studio, let me look for a second. But the studio that makes it, I think it's Kamikaze Doga or Space Neko Company, one of those two. I think that they actually go back and forth. I don't know what else they make. I haven't really heard of them before. Okay, yeah. But, I mean, good on them for being able to do all of these art styles.
Yeah. I think it's really cool too. So that's that. Now, so that's it for like continuing ones, but we do have a remake in our midst, and it's Ursa Yatsura, which is just called like Ursa Yatsura 2022 right now. I never watched the original Ursa Yatsura. You didn't either, right? But we know what it looks like. We know. I wouldn't go so far as to say that we knew the premise.
Yeah, I mean,
this.
I knew the
premise.
gist of what it was about.
Yeah, I knew that. Well, I mean, to tell you how much I knew, I thought Ursa Yatsura was the name of the girl character, and it's not. I don't know what the name comes from, but or what it means in Japanese, maybe, or I don't know. But just like some like I guess background, the original anime ran from 1981 to 86. It has 194 episodes, 12 OVAs, and 6 movies.
Wild.
So there is a lot of Ursa Yatsura content already out there in the world, but it's very old.
Yeah.
It's very old. With that being said, it looks beautiful. It does. It's like
the new one.
Yeah, the new
Yes,
one.
the
It's
new one.
such an upgrade.
Yes.
Like it's such a good upgrade, but it also still kind of keeps true to that 80s style of anime.
It does, and I really appreciate the character designs are pretty much
Very
the same.
80s. Yeah, they're very 80s with the face shapes and the eye shapes. But it's just much more like vibrant.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah. It's made by the same. It's made by the same studio that makes the JoJo anime.
That's right. Yeah, I remember reading that.
And so they're like their colors that they use are really nice for it.
Right.
I think it's pretty funny. It's cute.
Yeah. So premise of the story, very wild. Stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a human boy. He's a teenager. He's a very basic teenage boy. Likes girls.
Horny.
And also very unlucky. That's like his defining trait is that he is like so incredibly unlucky. Like from the day of his birth, only bad luck surrounds him. So one day, Earth is invaded by aliens. And the aliens, essentially the aliens look like humans, but with like little horns. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what they look like. Maybe like some of them are like really big. Like the main invader is really big. But he's like, I'm here to invade. Like very openly.
Yes.
And then he's like, we have randomly selected one human on Earth to like a duel.
Yes, to fight for your survival.
Yes, to fight for only one human can do it, and it's been randomly selected, and it's the unluckiest boy in the world, the main character, and it's all up to him for if Earth gets invaded or not by aliens. So he's like, "Oh my God, I'm just a little guy. What?" Then the main invader, I guess like commander, whatever, is like, okay, we challenge you to a game of tag with my daughter. And she's very pretty.
Arf, arf, awooga.
Yeah, and that's exactly how he responds. He's like, I'll do it. I get to touch her, I'll do it. Like, sounds great. Here's what he doesn't know. She can fly. She has electric shock powers. She is an alien. Hello. So he gets to do this tag race. I'm basically describing the whole first episode. The whole first episode is just like the premise of what the entire rest of what's going to happen.
Sets up the rest of the show.
So he does, and this tag lasts how long? It's like
7 days.
Yeah, okay, it's like a week. So he tries to do it. Obviously, he's failing miserably because she can fly.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody is like, man, we're doomed. Like,
basically,
this is it. It's over. Day 6 comes around. The human girl that he had a crush on is like, she's like, listen to me. If you win this, I will marry you. And he's like,
for reals?
For reals? And she's like, yes. I promise you, if you can save Earth, I will marry you.
Also, the ongoing gag between the two is that he keeps asking her out, and then she says yes, and then he, like, cheats on her and cheats on her by, like, looking at and asking out other girls.
Yeah.
And then she immediately breaks up
wow,
with
look
him.
at that ass. And then she's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, essentially. Anyway, so he's like, oh my gosh, I have got to do this so I can marry her. So he goes in the last day. And the entire time, all he can think about is how he has to marry this girl. He has to. So that's like on his mind. And he's super determined and he's like all energized. Basically, he's just like screaming the word marriage a bunch. Mm-hmm. That's it. He's just like, he's absolutely deranged at this point. He's just screaming the word marriage. And I mean, and it works. He wins. He wins the game of tag. He finally does it on the last day. And they don't have to, and they aren't invaded. But in that match, the alien daughter, Lum, thinks that the reason why he was yelling marriage was because he was trying to marry her. So now Lum is in love with him and thinks that they are married. Like, actually thinks that they are husband and wife now. That
Yes.
he has won the game. And this is how the anime starts.
Yes.
With this alien girl, Lum, wanting to, like, be the wife of this loser guy. And he actually does not want her to be his wife because she is an alien with electric shock powers, has a pretty high temperature, and he's horny. He wants to be with every other girl. But she responds more violently than the human girls do because she can just electrocute him.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, like, the comedy of it then, is they do that kind of, like, around and around in a circle. That kind of joke. And he's just trying to find different ways to get rid of her.
Yeah, and it's the constant, like, love triangle between the three characters.
Yes, he's still trying to get with the other girl.
Yeah.
He's still like, nah, babe, I wanted to marry you. Trust me. Like,
yeah. And then Lum is like, darling.
Yes, darling. So it's very pretty. It's very cute.
Yes.
See where it goes.
I was a little hesitant on the first episode because it took like a majority of the episode for the like setup. And then like the last like 10 minutes or so of the episode was like really quick, like
jokes.
Gags.
Yeah.
And like I was a little worried that's how the rest of the show was going to be, just like quick gags, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
we'll see where it goes. They have 194 episodes that they can reference. So.
They do. It does say that there's only going to be 23 episodes.
On this season.
At least for this season.
In this season. I mean, this ran for 5 years in the past. So
yes.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's pretty cute.
You were watching one more thing.
Yes. I am watching 2 other shows that she is not. But the continuation show that I'm watching right now is My Hero Academia Season 6. It's the 6th season. Like, I'm not, like, bored. I'm just a little tired. Like, they're at the point of doing kind of like bullshit things of like, oh, you like the last season they like the villains figured out that they can like upgrade their powers by being put in situations, and so like they have their powers, but then they have like their powers, and like now the main villain is being like genetically modified, and like I don't know. I'm still watching it. Like, so it must be good to at least some point. But like,
it's good to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's good to a lot of people. It's just the 6th season.
Right.
So like it's like over 100 episodes. I've been watching this for like a while.
Is the manga still going?
Yes, the manga is still going.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. And like I hear some pretty wild, dumb things happen in the manga too. So
exciting.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of at one of those points where it was like, they haven't introduced a new character in a long time. Mm-hmm. And so, or like a new villain since like the 2nd season. So, like, it's kind of like...
It's been a little stale.
Edging. It's like, yeah, we're upgrading this guy. He's going to be stronger. Eventually. Mm-hmm. We're now getting to the point where he's about to be stronger.
Not yet.
In the next episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. Just continue. I mean, that's one of the things that like makes like One Piece, for example, more watchable, is that they're like, here's a new villain, here's a new villain, here's a new villain, you know, just like you mix it up a little.
Right.
And like, I don't know, kind of bored, but like I said, I'm still watching it. So now our new stuff.
Yes, now stuff that is new. Like new.
Yes.
This season. First one I have written down is Do It Yourself. The DIY anime.
DIY anime.
So, premise of this one. First of all, get this. It's a high school setting.
Yep.
And there's like, and it's shoujo, right?
And classism.
And it's classism. So far, there's no love interest. That's not a part of this. That's not a part of this, right? It's one of those shoujos. I feel like there's shoujo where there is a love interest and there's shoujos where there's not.
Yeah.
Right? That's like a way to classify the two. This is one where there's not a love interest. So it's about... high schoolers.
Yes, the main character
The main
is
character.
Dua Yourselfu.
Yes. No, it's just Yua Serufu.
No, it's Dua.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's not. It's not. It's Yua.
Oh, it's
Yua
Yourselfu. Yeah,
Serufu.
that's
which
right.
is the joke, obviously, is that her name is Yourself. So
And then,
do it
oh my god.
yourself. Anyway, that's the joke. That's the joke. So, but Yua is just such a sweet young soul who
Clumsy.
who is like has one brain cell just bouncing around in there doing its best.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she is well, as you mentioned, classism is a really big point in this anime. Basically, like it's a big point to a sense of comedy. So there are two friends. There's Yua, and then there's her other friend, which I'm forgetting the name of. Also, Yua only uses nicknames. So at some point, I might say somebody's name, and it's like not even really their name. So Yua and her friend, they live next to each other. They're neighbors in their childhood, and now that they're in high school, they go to different schools. Yua goes to a lower class school, and then her friend goes to a higher class school. Miku goes to a higher class school that is surrounding the lower class school. Once again, the classism is to a point of comedy. So it's literally like the lower class school, and then the higher class school is built around it in like a C shape. And it's huge, right? Obviously. And now that she goes to this higher class school, and it probably has something to do with us. I mean, it's anime, but I'm speculating. Probably has something also to do with how she was raised. Miku thinks that she is just like so far above Yua.
Yeah.
But Yua, who is the sweetest soul ever and has one brain cell dancing around in her brain, really still wants to be her friend. And really still thinks that they are friends. And that she's just kind of like in a bad mood. But like they're still friends. But like Miku is like treating her terribly and like telling her that she's dumb and like, you know, all that stuff. And Yua's just like, you're so funny. Like, just taking it, you know? Anyway, Yua, clumsy, always hurt, always daydreaming.
Perfect attendance to the nurse's office.
Perfect attendance to the nurse's office.
Joke.
That is an ongoing joke. She's always in the nurse's office. So I don't even remember how she stumbles into the club room. I don't even remember. I remember that she breaks her bike. Yeah. And then the chain breaks off or something.
So what happens is that she's on her way to school and the chain like comes off of her bike, and then an upperclassman fixes it for her, and then handy. Yes. And so she was talking with her classmates, and her classmates were like, "Oh, that upperclassman is a part of the DIY club.
They work out in
the shed out back."
Yeah.
And so then she goes to the shed out back because they're like, "Oh, the upperclassman, she's
so
scary."
Yeah.
And then one thing leads to another, and now she's a member of the club.
Yeah, and and it's like she wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah,
it was one of the scenes where it's like, yeah, why not? It wasn't even like, I feel like sometimes with these like club, we need more members in our club scenarios. It's like you get people that are like, I don't really know if I want to join the club.
Yeah.
Yua is literally like,
I'm here.
I'm not doing anything else. Sounds like fun. But I think that it's really cool that they with this idea, because I think that this idea, like a DIY club, when you just say it, sounds really simple.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that the fact that they put it in this kind of futuristic, like I'm not just talking classism in the sense of like rich and poor. I'm talking like the opening shot is usually like drones carrying packages to be delivered to people. Like there's high technology things happening.
Yeah.
In the world. Like they're happening. But then there's also like the everyday lower class people who are still riding their bikes and still taking the
yeah.
They're the low class people that are still like keeping to more like lower class.
Yeah, like her
things.
friend Miku takes the bus to school, but that's only for the upper class.
No, it's only for the rich school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's only for the rich school, and so Yua has to take her bike.
And she always struggles going back home because it's uphill.
Yeah.
So, like, it was something that Miku would always kind of make fun of her for, right? Until she started walking home with friends from the DIY club. And now Miku's like, what the hell? Friends? Because Miku doesn't have any friends. Miku is like textbook tsundere, hates everybody.
Yes, yeah.
So, whatever. Anyway, it's very cute.
It is very cute.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's so cute that they like to make things. And that's all the other part of, like, why it's really cool that they have it in this, like, more futuristic, like, technological advanced world, is that the club president is very much like, you know, like the heart and soul of doing it yourself is the feeling of accomplishment that you've made something yourself, right? Like, a lot of what is brought up is, oh, why would you make that yourself when you can just buy it?
Right.
Why would you make it yourself whenever you can, like that's so old. Yeah. That's an ongoing joke. As DIY is so old. That, like, why would you ever want to do anything yourself, right?
Right.
And she's like, there's, like, how can you guys not have, in her mind, she's like, there is just so much satisfaction to be had in crafting and making your own things, and then being able to look at them in your space and being like, I did that.
Right.
Like, that's so cool. So, I think that it's just, like, really adds, like, to the message of why, like, the DIY club is important.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. It's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I like the characters.
Right, yeah.
There's definitely some pretty good characters in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then the next one that I have is Blue Lock.
Yes.
Which is
Blue Lock is interesting.
Which is one that I saw on Twitter and was like, I have to check that out. And then I kind of made you watch it. And now I'm the one that's kind of making us keep watching it. So, Blue Lock is, or how it was introduced to me on Twitter was, it's a horror artist drawing a sports anime. So, Blue Lock is about soccer, first of all.
Soccer Squid Games.
It's Soccer Squid Game. So, basically, backstory premise is, I looked it up. It's set in 2018.
Okay.
Because there was apparently a very big soccer fumble from Japan. Some, like, international. I don't know anything about sports.
Yeah, me either.
So, I'm going to just trust. There was some soccer debacle. World Cup, I don't know. In Japan in 2018. So, this is from the point of view of a boy who really wants to be good at soccer, right? And he's, like, very much just, like, main character looking guy, right? Really wants to be good at soccer, but he just can't really get it. It opens with him losing, him and his team losing, which he thinks they lost because he passed the ball, and then the person he passed the ball to did make the shot. And that makes him upset, right? So what happens is a bunch of, like, high school soccer players get an invite to the Soccer Squid Games. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that they're in this, like, arena, quarantined, whole bunch of...
Yeah, they're in, like, a bunker, like Squid Game.
Yeah. And it's, like, huge, except for it's above ground and it's more publicly known.
Yeah.
Because there was, like, a whole, like...
Press conference
for it, okay? So people know that it's happening, and I guess technically they'd signed consent forms and whatever. Where they gathered a bunch of young soccer players, and their goal was to push them so hard at soccer, at, like, winning soccer on an individual level, until there was one remaining.
Yes.
And they would weed out the bottom ones, and the bottom ones won't get to professionally play soccer ever. Yes. That's, like, the premise.
Yeah, they're trying to create a star. Yes. Because they're like...
They're like, the state of Japanese football. The state of Japanese soccer is abysmal. Yeah. We need a drastic change in how we are training. Right. So they get this crazy-ass man who has a
Yes.
crazy ass plan to just absolutely ruin these kids. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
absolutely ruin them. Yeah.
I think the craziest part about it is that they reference like real life soccer players.
Yes, they do. They do mention real life soccer players. I only kind of know them. Because
Yeah.
once again, I'm not a sports person, and I'm definitely not a soccer person.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I wish this anime wasn't soccer.
Me too.
But it is, and that's what. But it is. So from what I found, the artist and the writer of Blue Lock, the manga and the show, I guess, both don't have a huge
Legacy.
Yeah, they don't really have much of a legacy at all. They're pretty new, but they do primarily write and draw horror, gore things.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very interesting to see a sports anime drawn this way.
It is.
Because I feel like a lot of sports animes, whenever you think of them, except for maybe fighter animes, not counting fighting animes, are upbeat. They're very like positive, and they're very like they're bright. Like they're like a happy shonen.
This is a very negative show.
This is a very negative show.
Like,
but it's because it has this like weird horror undertone of
yes.
like, I mean, like no
Foundation.
one's dying. No
Right.
one's dying. But these kids, like, soccer's everything, and the fact that, or the idea that if they lose this, they would have to quit, like, ever, like, playing soccer ever again at a
Right.
professional level is, like, absolutely horrifying.
Right, because all of these kids are like star soccer players.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them, and a lot of them we haven't met
Yeah.
yet. So, you know, a lot more characters are gonna get introduced. So we're on the third episode. We just watched the third episode.
Yes.
We just watched the third episode, and I think that I mentioned it briefly to you that it's interesting that it kind of challenges what a team sport is.
Mm-hmm.
The show challenges what a team sport is. I think about like a lot of other team sport animes, and once again, this is a very negative anime, right? But all these other team sport animes, and I guess it'd be fun to talk about this again if we talk about sports animes.
Yeah.
The focus is rarely the sport, always the team, always the friends, always
Yes.
the positive journey,
group.
the positive journey of growing friendship and getting better at a sport together, right? What Blue Lock does is completely abolish that notion. It actually says, like, it says fuck the team. Like, actually, the weird ass whack ass guy that's
Right.
running Blue Lock is like, I get that like soccer's a team sport, but we need more ego on the field.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally like, we need strong ego on the field if Japan is to get better at soccer.
Right.
So I think in the third episode they talk about this like theory of how a team really comes together and how a team creates a sport. So I guess I'll go into it a little bit. Basically, the weird ass whack ass guy, forgot his name. Sorry.
Ego.
His name is Ego.
Yeah.
Okay.
They refer to him as Ego.
Okay, Ego.
I think he like said his name maybe, but all of the characters refer to him as Ego.
Okay, so Ego is the guy who created Blue Lock. He says, I want you guys to create soccer from zero. You're all strikers, and I'm going to put you in a team, and you guys have to figure it out. So what that means, and look at me, being a sports person, explaining soccer to people who maybe don't know what soccer is, and I know that a lot of these people probably do know what soccer is. Basically, that means that a lot of them are not playing positions that they're used to.
Yeah.
They all want to be center of field. Nobody wants to be the goalie.
Nobody wants to play defense.
Nobody
They
wants
all
to
wanna
play
be
defense.
offense.
They all want to do offense. And they're all very violent about it. They get into a very violent fight within their own team over who should have the ball when the game starts, which is already obviously a very rough start. So they're all really busy fighting amongst themselves and then the other team also, until somebody finally breaks free with the ball and makes a goal.
On the other team.
On the other team. So I think it's interesting then they go into this whole theory that, like, in order to create a sport from 0, your goal is to get to 1. And the like idea of moving from 0 points to 1 point is how you know how to build a team. I just think that that's so interesting.
I think it is as well. And kind of like creates this idea of, while we are all a team, there is one person that is the most important.
There is one person that is the most important.
Everybody else is, at least this is the way in soccer. Probably honestly could be translated into other sports as well.
Yeah, like football.
Yeah, except maybe like baseball,
yeah.
which they actually
bring up. That you can't translate it to baseball.
They bring up that like Japan is good at baseball because it's very structured. Like you are put in positions. But in soccer, there is one key player and everybody else is supporting them.
Yeah. So whenever this one player moves their score from 0 to 1, the team starts to realize, if we want to win this game, we're going to support this guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, their goal, like, because they don't want to like lose their privilege to play soccer forever. They're like, I no longer care. I've almost kind of like lost my ego.
Yes.
Because right now, what I need to do is make sure this guy has the ball and nobody bothers him. And that is how they multiply their score. And that's how they move up from 0 to, and they make the reference of going from 0 to 10 to 100.
Yeah.
So, which is like how you win, obviously, right?
Right. The star player makes it from 0 to 1, but the support makes it from 1 to 10 to 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's how you build a team. That's like how you structure a team. And I just think that, I don't know, I hadn't thought about like team sports like that,
right,
because it's never been presented to me like that.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really interesting. And I'm looking forward to more sports theory. Wow, yeah, look at me looking forward to more sport theory in my sport anime. Okay, enough of that though. Moving on to Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man, I am...
Chainsaw Man,
it's finally here. It is finally here. You guys know I've been waiting for it. It is finally here, and it's everything that I asked for. It is so good.
It's very good.
It is so depressing. I knew it was depressing. Like, I didn't read the manga because I had been waiting for the anime to come out. I knew it was going to be depressing, though, and it's even more depressing than I thought it would be. Like, oh my gosh. It is so good, though.
We're only on 2 episodes.
We're
with
only
this
on second episode.
Yeah. A lot of these were on the 3rd one, but this one we're only on the 2nd one.
Yeah. I mean, Studio Mappa, they're doing an amazing job. There's even a part in it that it looks CG, but it's 2D, like animated.
Yeah, but it's just so full.
Yes, it is
so
amazing.
Rounded. Yeah. It is crazy because I thought it was a 3D animated scene as well whenever I first watched it.
It was actually pretty funny because when I saw previews of the show, there are certain previews that make it look like it's 3D, but now I think that it's probably 2D.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
A lot of money is being funneled into this. Like, a lot of money is being funneled into it. And from what I understand from what you told me before watching this, I didn't really look it up recently, but it's a very successful manga.
Yes.
Like, very successful manga. And it's made it a very anticipated anime. So that probably had a lot to do with the money that is being put towards this.
So this is the crazy thing.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like Mappa is definitely putting like their top staff on this, but like they're also doing like 5 other shows right now.
Mappa's always doing the most.
I know, it's just like right now though. Like they're like working on so many things right now. Like it's kind of crazy. Like they're pretty stretched thin. Yet they're still able to go above and beyond. Like it's pretty wild. Like not even just animators, but also like animating like they're having multiple people work on this show, or had worked on this show, like different storyboard artists and things like that.
Right. They seem to have they just seem to overall have a lot of people working on this, because even the idea of having a different outro, that's so many, that's so many musicians, that's so many bands. Like that's because so I guess if you don't know anything about Chainsaw Man, it's gory.
Yeah.
It's shonen. It's, well, maybe even more adult leaning.
It is,
It's
definitely.
adult leaning shonen, so maybe not quite boys, but
Yeah.
you
I
know,
don't remember what that's called.
seinen.
Seinen.
It's seinen,
Yeah.
right? It's seinen. And it was often compared to Dorihiro in Jujutsu Kaisen. To if that gives you any frame of reference, I never watched Jujutsu Kaisen, but I have seen Dorihiro.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a lot of gore, and
It
it's
is.
a lot of like underworld demons.
Yeah, the general plot is that the main character Denji, he is like
Millions and billions of dollars
yes,
in debt
he
because
and
of his
he and
mother.
father.
Father.
He inherited debt, and so he's never known a day that's been good in his life. He's been homeless, and what he does to keep a living is that he kills demons with his pet demon.
Which is like a dog.
Yeah,
With
which
a little chainsaw
with a
on it.
chainsaw on its head.
Yeah, he's a little dog with a chainsaw on his head. It's really cute.
And so he's like super abused by the mob because they super underpay him.
Right.
And then he eventually dies. They turn on him. He dies.
Well, they get possessed by demons. They don't necessarily turn on him.
Well, they turned on him. They brought him there. I mean, they turned on him. They purposefully brought him there to. Okay, I can kind of see what you mean.
Either way, he dies.
Yeah, he dies. He fuses with his demon dog.
Yeah, his demon dog is like, you have shown me such kindness. Like, it's really sweet, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Whenever they're dying, the dog actually finally speaks to him, like, because they can understand each other. And he says, I love hearing about how you dream of a better life, and I want you to show me that.
Yeah.
And I want you to see it. So he fuses with him so that he can continue living, but as a fusion of a demon and a human.
Yeah, so now he has the ability to turn into Chainsaw Man, a chainsaw demon.
Mm-hmm. He's got chainsaw head, chainsaw arms.
Yes.
That's
And
his
so
look.
now he has been found and recruited by the official demon hunting organization.
Yeah.
And now he is working for them.
Right.
But he's still kind of a little shit because he's never known.
He doesn't know
do.
anything about polite society.
Yeah.
So he is rude. He's both rude knowing he is, and rude sometimes when he doesn't know he is.
Yeah.
So it's a very back and forth thing.
Yeah, they show he's living with his mentor, and he's just it just shows him being really trashy, but
Yeah.
he didn't know better. He didn't grow up with parents that taught him to pick up after himself because
Right.
he's never owned anything, and so it's one thing that I have seen. I saw a tweet about this, and I really it stayed with me. And it's the fact that since he is kind of a garbage person, he's never really known love, he's never really known affection.
Right.
And so he's also a teenager, and so he's horny.
Right.
So for example, they're oh, to stay alive you need to have a goal. Need to have a goal in mind. He's
Yep.
okay, my goal in mind is to touch boobs.
Yep, that's his goal. That's the only thing he wants in his life right now.
Yeah.
Is to touch boobs.
And so I saw this tweet that was people are going to interpret this show as just another horny show, and not what the story is really portraying as a person that is so down out of their luck, that these are the only these desires are the only thing that they can even think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever he was thinking about because he was also thinking right now, living with this mentor, even if he doesn't like the mentor,
Yeah.
he gets to eat, He gets to bathe. He gets to sleep on a bed. Like,
Right.
right now, he thinks he's living the absolute highest life that he can.
Right.
Which is why whenever he asks himself, like, oh, I need a goal? Like, what more could I want?
Exactly.
And it's like the only thing he can think of is to touch boobs.
Right.
So,
I'm super looking forward to where this goes.
Right.
Like, I want more characters introduced.
Yeah. Ready for more action.
Yeah, more action. Looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Power is such a good character. She's absolutely feral.
Big and feral.
Yeah. Just a good cast overall.
Yeah, and I know that they've said some interesting things about the production, like how there's going to be. You said original fights.
Yes. So,
yeah.
There
should be original fights.
I brought
in
this.
There.
Yeah. So I think I've talked about this before, maybe, because we were talking about upcoming anime. So there's going to be fights in it that weren't in the manga, which I'm really interested in, like how that's going to work out.
Right.
Like, is it fights that were off screen that they're just going to animate, and like how is that actually going to affect it?
Like canon or whatever. Like
the
difference.
Like, what are they going to consider the canon?
Right.
You know, is this going to build? Is this going to have character development? Like things like that.
What I'm wondering, because I was told this on Twitter once again. Okay, on Twitter they were like, okay, so obviously Chainsaw Man is gory, but what people don't talk about is how much vomit is in it.
Yeah.
We have yet to see any vomit.
So
I'm wondering, but I don't know if that means that it's censored.
Yeah, I get
like maybe there's vomit in the manga and there's not going to be as much vomit in the. Basically, they were like, look, everybody talks about the gore, no one talks about the vomit. So I'm like waiting. I don't know, like how to put it. Where I'm like
anticipation.
I mean, I have anticipation for there to be some nasty ass vomit, but maybe there's not. Maybe it's censored. I don't know. I feel like we would have seen it by now with some of the things that were happening. Like maybe. I don't know. I thought Dingy would be vomited by now.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
With everything that's happened.
Right. I think this is... For me, personally, I think Chainsaw Man is probably going to be the star of this season.
It has the potential.
Yeah.
It does.
And then lastly, I'm watching the new Gundam show, Witch from Mercury. And it's good. It's revolutionary Gundam Mercury three houses.
Yeah.
So like it's written by a guy who first got his like foot into the industry by writing the Utena light novels. And you can really tell. You can tell. It's pretty obvious, especially in like the first episode. They have the whole setup of like, oh, I'm a bride and whoever wins this duel becomes my groom. And then the girl is like, well, I won the duel, now what? And she's like, well, I guess you're my groom bride. Like they literally say, I think they like bridegroom.
Yeah.
Like, and
yes, we're married.
Yeah, but they have really good characters. Well, the main character specifically, she's from Mercury and is kind of like aloof and kind of generically like country like characters, like the country bumpkin character. Like that's kind of how she is, and she's like, I have a list of things that I want like done while I'm at school, and like study with friends and like go on dates and things like that. And so it's really cute. It's a good combination of characters, and I'm really excited to see where it goes because there's well, as per usual in Gundam, there's space racism, and they've made it very apparent in this one actually. Like there's some serious bullying and things like that within the school, and but no, I'm interested because this is a separate universe, and Gundams are defined differently by like how they're made, like instead of just like the model. It's interesting, and so I'm curious as to where they're gonna go. I don't know. I don't remember if it said how many episodes there are gonna be, but I'm curious. I'm looking forward to it. Gundam's good. So, and this is like a pretty... If you've never seen Gundam before, check this out because you don't have to watch any other Gundam to enjoy this one.
Right.
And I think that's about it for today.
Yeah, I think that is. So thank you guys for joining us on this episode of Konich-Yeehaw. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And we'll see you all in the next one. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!